Think about this for a second. No physical form, no government backing, no real intrinsic value, and yet trillions of dollars are flowing into these digital things. It's a massive paradox, right? It's a puzzle that seems to completely ignore all the old rules of finance we thought we knew.
So you got to ask yourself, how can a few lines of code be worth more than companies that have been around for 100 years? Well, the answer isn't just hype, and it's definitely not magic. It's a field of design science called tokenomics. It's basically the art of engineering a digital economy from scratch.
All right, so to really get how this all works, we first need to make a really key distinction. We have to be clear on the two main flavors of crypto assets out there.
Okay, so on one side, you've got coins. Think of things like Bitcoin or Ether. They're like the native currency of their own digital country. They run on their very own blockchain. But then you have tokens. Now, these are built on top of existing blockchains, kind of like how apps are built on your phone's operating system. And that flexibility is huge, because it means tokens can be designed to do almost anything, not just act like money. And that brings us to the very first pillar of how this value gets built, supply. See, unlike traditional money, which a central bank can just print more of, a token's scarcity can be hard-coded from day one. It is, quite literally, engineered into its DNA.
Bitcoin, of course, is the classic example here. It's written right into its code, a rule that can never be changed. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. Full stop, that's it. This programmed scarcity is a massive reason for its value, just like gold or any other precious metal.
Now, what's so cool about this, and what you're seeing in this chart, is how that scarcity is guaranteed over time. This shows us the famous Bitcoin halving. It's an event that's baked into the code, and it cuts the amount of new supply in half about every 4 years. You can see that teal line, the inflation rate, just plummets after each one. It's this predictable, decreasing supply that makes it so attractive to a lot of investors. But you know, a fixed cap isn't the only tool in the toolbox. There's another really powerful mechanism called token burning. This is where our project will intentionally send a bunch of its own tokens to an address where they can never ever be recovered. They're permanently destroyed. It's a way to actively reduce the supply and create what's called deflationary pressure. So here's the thing. Scarcity by itself doesn't mean anything. I mean, you can have a one-of-a-kind rock in your backyard, but if nobody wants it, it's worthless. This brings us to the other side of the equation, demand. And in tokenomics, real sustainable demand comes from one place, utility. The token has to do something.
So what does utility actually look like? Well, first you have network fees. Think of it like the gas you have to pay to get anything done on a network like Ethereum. Then there are access rights, which is kind of like having a digital key or a VIP pass to unlock special features. Governance is a big one. It gives you the right to vote on the future of the project, so you have a real say. And in decentralized finance, or DeFi, tokens are constantly used as collateral. It's like the down payment you need to put up to borrow other assets.
And honestly, this is the most important part. If a token doesn't have a clear purpose, if it doesn't do anything useful inside its little world, then any value it has is just pure speculation, a house of cards. Utility is the anchor that gives a token a real reason to exist.
Okay, so we've got an engineered supply, and we have real demand coming from utility. But how do you get thousands of total strangers all over the globe to cooperate and do what's best for the network? Well, that's where the third piece of this puzzle clicks into place: incentives.
Staking is probably the best example of this. It's pretty simple. A user agrees to lock up their tokens. By doing that, they're helping to secure the whole network, making it super expensive for anyone to attack it. And in return for providing that security, the system rewards them with, you guessed it, more tokens. It creates this amazing feedback loop where acting in your own self-interest directly helps the entire system.
This quote here from Outlier Ventures just nails it. Tokenomics is really a form of digital behavioral economics. The whole point is to design a game, a set of rules where everyone chasing their own best interest automatically ends up making the entire ecosystem healthier and more valuable.
But we have to be honest here. These are really complex economic machines. And when the engineering is bad or the incentives are pointing in the wrong direction, the whole thing can just fall apart. And it often does, in spectacular fashion.
You tend to see the same kinds of failures over and over. First, there's hyperinflation. That's when new tokens get printed way too fast, flooding the market and making everyone's holdings worthless. Then you have zero utility. The token literally has no purpose, so when the hype fades, so does the demand. And then there's the infamous Ponzi-nomics, where the whole model depends on new money constantly coming in. It's a ticking time bomb, because eventually you run out of new investors and the whole thing collapses.
So the takeaway here is really clear.
The line between a project that thrives and one that goes to zero isn't just luck. It all comes down to the quality of its economic engineering, the strength of its tokenomics.
And that really brings us to the big idea, the one thing to remember from all of this. Value in this new digital world isn't random. It's not arbitrary. It is the direct result of a system that's been carefully designed to balance scarcity, utility, and incentives. So the next time you wonder what gives a token its value, just remember, in crypto, value isn't printed, it's programmed.